Hi everyone, and welcome to another Car Reviews podcast here with CollectorCarCanada.CA. As you may know, I'm about to talk about a car that's in Toronto this week. So I thought, why not head down to the harbor, get a shot with the CN Tower in the background, and shoot this intro from Toronto. So as you see, that's where I am today. So we've got three cars to tell you about today, and before we get into it, I want to remind everyone we also have the Collector Car Stories podcast. That's a bi-weekly feature, usually bi-weekly, and we have a new one dropping for Saturday. And we just talk to an enthusiast or a group of enthusiasts about maybe their car, their collection of cars, a fun car show they might have attended, or a road trip. And we put it all together, package it up, and bring it to you, the viewers. So Collector Car Stories podcast. Don't forget to throw us a like for these videos if you like them. It will help. It will help YouTube deliver them to the people who might also like them. Drop a tick on the subscribe button. That'll get them to you as soon as they drop. Be the first on your block to see them. And also share it around. If you have friends, there's even a share button. You just click on that, and you can get it to your friends who you think also might like it as well. So to the cars we have. So outside of we have one car outside of our normal cycle, and that's the car that's here in Toronto. And it's outside of our normal cycle because it's a Thrifty Thursday car. So we've only had a couple of these this year. We call them Thrifty Thursday cars when the car is still got plenty of life in it, but it needs a bit of work to bring it back to tip top. So the Thrifty Thursday car we have this week is a 2005 Mustang GT Coupe with a 5-speed manual. So it's got the 4.6 liter engine. I think in the review video I say 305 horsepower. Not a big difference, but I think it's actually factory rated at 300 horsepower. But as I say, it looks good. The paint is good. It's got a clean Carfax, but it needs a little bit of work underneath. So what we did was we got the owner to get his mechanic to give it a look over. Excuse me. And we've got the list of items the mechanic is recommending. So there are 3 images towards the end of the photo gallery for the car. It's lot 214 on CollectorCarCanada.CA, and you'll get a sense there of what it needs. Bring your own wrenches. This one's a handyman special, but it won't be outrageously expensive to have a mechanic do the work for you. And of course, we've reflected that in the expected price we get for it. So there is a reserve, but it's really modest. Certainly the work it requires is considered in coming up with that reserve price. Otherwise, we have a couple of Mercedes, and they're our normal Tuesday cycle. They're not Thrifty Thursday cars, but one is a no reserve car. We'll save that for the end. But the other Mercedes-Benz, it's a 1994 S500 Coupe, and it's black on gray. And I was familiar with this car before we listed it this time. It's lot 232 on CollectorCarCanada.CA. And the reason I was familiar with it before we started this sale is because we sold this car last year. Often people approach me saying that they're not using their cars, and that's why they're selling them, which is perfectly reasonable because ordinarily we're not selling daily drivers' cars. But in this case, I looked at the odometer last year as we sold it last year, and I've looked at it again this year, less than 1,000 kilometers different. So certainly this owner's being genuine when he says he's not using it. So it is, as I say, a 1994 Mercedes-Benz S500 Coupe, black on gray with the 5-liter V8 engine. And it's at 221,000 kilometers, but well maintained. These engines will go on and on and on. Over $15,000 has been spent on this car. Invested might be a better word in the past 6 years or so. So it is roadworthy. Have a look. Lot 232, CollectorCarCanada.CA. And the final one I'm going to tell you about on this episode, it's lot 231 on CollectorCarCanada.CA. It's a 1992 Mercedes-Benz 300 TE. So the T denotes touring, which is the word Mercedes-Benz uses for a station wagon. There's a slight mix-up on the odometer in the main part of the video. This car is a US car, and when it came to Canada around 1995, check the detailed listing for the exact date because we have a Carfax on there denoting the importation. The US-based or imperial measure speedometer and odometer were switched to Canadian or metric instrumentation. So it started with a brand new odometer at that time. Right now, the odometer shows just under 170,000 kilometers, but it had 26,911 miles on it when it was changed. So I think I say in the video it's at about 206,000 kilometers. I think we forgot to carry a 1 there. It's closer to 214,000 kilometers. But given that it has a new odometer, we're listing this one as TMU, true mileage unknown. I've gotten a little carried away talking about the odometer. So this one is a no reserve auction. So a real opportunity here. 1992 Mercedes wagon. It's got the 3-liter inline 6 that was just ubiquitous, certainly in Europe with European taxis and even service vehicles like police cars. But yeah, that 3-liter inline 6 known to be very robust. 4-speed automatic transmission, driving the rear wheels only. And what a set of wheels they are. The seller upgraded these to AMG monoblock wheels. So have a look. It does have its share of warts. It's a no reserve car, so keep that in mind. There are some door dings on it. There's 2 little bits of corrosion, surface corrosion on the car as well. But the black on black Mercedes wagon really does look sharp. Again, that one's lot 231. So once more from the top, we've got the 2005 Mustang GT. So that's in Vale Blue metallic over light graphite leather interior. Lot 214 on CollectorCarCanada.CA, a Thrifty Thursday offering. Then we've got the 1994 Mercedes-Benz S500 Coupe. That's lot 232 on CollectorCarCanada.CA. And lastly for this video, we have a 1992 Mercedes-Benz 300 TE, T for touring and a station wagon. This one, again, it's being offered at no reserve, so that just adds to the excitement of the auction. This one will have a new owner next week for sure. So thanks for joining us from here in beautiful center of the universe, Toronto. You know how those Torontonians are. And thank you for watching, and we're going to move on to the next car. Hi everyone, and welcome to another car review here on the Car Reviews Podcast on CollectorCarCanada.CA. Today we're looking at a 2005 Ford Mustang GT. So this is the first year of what I will call the modern retro Mustang, the S197 body style, which followed up the SN95 body style, which finished, of course, in 2004. So this car came to rave reviews, critical acclaim. Everyone loved the retro look of it. And as you'll see in a minute, the front end was really harkens back to the 1969 Mustangs with the 4 big round lights across the front end. But this one, yeah, it's this one we're having as a Thrifty Thursday car. So what we do very occasionally, when we get a car that needs a bit of work, maybe you call it a handyman special, we try to be as detailed as we can in our listing about what the car is going to need. But yeah, we call it Thrifty Thursdays just so people know that the car might need a work till it's to their little bit of work until it's to their liking. As you'll see though from the driving videos of this car, the engine is powerful and wants to move, and you'll also see that the car starts easily. It's fairly low mileage for an 05, 113,000 and change. So it's going to go to its new owner with under 114,000 kilometers. And again, it's a Thrifty Thursday on CollectorCarCanada.CA. It's going to be lot 114. Pardon me, I'm off by only 100. It's going to be lot 214. Lot 214 on CollectorCarCanada.CA. So what I'll do now is I'll start it up. You can have a listen to it starting, and then what I'll do is I'll pop the hood. We'll have a look at the engine, listen to it idle, and we'll go back, listen to the exhaust, and then we'll take a look at the exterior. So without further ado, here we go with listening to the startup. So I think fair to say, starts pretty easily, idles easily, nice even idle. I don't think there's any trouble with the engine in this car, but let's take a look. Okay, so yeah, we've popped the hood from inside. Let's see if I can get it released with one hand here. Maybe I need a second hand for some help. And there's an old-fashioned prop rod on here, so pardon the picture for a moment. Okay, so the prop rod is in place, and there's a look at the 4.6 liter V8 engine. Just while I'm thinking of it, I'll show you this Mustang embossing on the hood insulation. But yeah, definitely the engine compartment needs a good clean. Nothing that a couple of hours and of elbow grease won't cure, I don't think. But we'll take a listen to the idle, get up close to the belts. So that's a good listen to it idling. Shock towers also look pretty clean to me. So again, despite this being a thrifty Thursday pick, not only does the engine seem to run really well and feel really powerful when we just took it on a road test where I was the passenger, the body also looks quite good. You'll see there isn't any upside in the paint, and we do have some underside shots on the detailed listing. Again, lot 214 on CollectorCarCanada.CA, so you can take a look at those there. So that's our look at the engine compartment. Put this hood back down. And let's take a little tour of the exterior. I mentioned the headlights earlier. I think they're worthy of turning on, just to give you a look at that light show that harkens back, as I say, to the 69. So the headlights on the outside, of course, are your headlights, and there's a bright function on that, like you'd expect. And the ones on the inside, built into the grille, are fog lights. So I'll turn the brights on just while we're at it here. And there's a show of good Ford engineering. When the brights came on, the fog lights came off, because if you need one, you definitely don't need the other. So I'll turn off those lights, and I think I'll shut the engine down too. I don't think we need it. I'm not sure if I shot the tach while I started it, but there we are. We see it running at about 750 RPM. Good healthy idle speed, I'd say. And I'll look at the tach, which is just as retro. If I get this driver door closed, I can show you the odometer. So there we go, reading 113,407 today. So again, this car is going to its new owner at under 114,000, under 114,000 kilometers. Shut her down. While I'm thinking of it, you can see there's a remote release fob with the keys, both for locks, trunk, and then an alarm controller as well. But let's get back to the exterior here. Someone left his hat behind. Always fun to find those. Sellers, if you're thinking of selling with us, we're happy to provide you a hat. So yeah, a nice light blue. Before we publish the listing, we'll look up the exact Ford name for this color, but I think it looks pretty sharp. I also noted a set of 4 Pirelli P0 Nero tires, so same 4 tires at all 4 corners, square setup, same size all the way around, 235/55 ZR17, and they're a W rated tire. I also noticed when we were looking at the car in preparation for the video, all of the glass has this Ford CarLight emblem. So if it's not the original glass, it's certainly been replaced with Ford OEM spec. I suspect it might be original though. Pretty low mileage for an 05. There's a GT badge to signify that it's got the V8 under the hood. And as I look at the gaps look pretty good too. Despite this being a thrifty Thursday car, we have a Carfax just to put your mind at ease, to add to peace of mind. So yeah, look for the Carfax as well on lot 214 here on CollectorCarCanada.CA. And the gas door, there's just a place where rust can sometimes hide, but I don't see any hiding with this car. So getting a look around. I did take a look later. Ford went to the sequentially illuminating tail lights for indicators. This car doesn't have those. So this is before the 05s before Ford went to those. So another neat for GT embossing. We're not talking about a Ford GT here, but they left the Mustang out of this emblem. Third brake light. Factory spoiler, and the paint of course matches the paint on the rest of the body. Car's got dual exhaust. On our detailed listing, you can hear the engine idling and the exhaust in motion. Maybe that's not the right word, but you can hear the sound of the exhaust at idle. You also hear the exhaust in our driving videos. So as you'll see on the detailed listing, this car is located in Toronto. We're pretty close to downtown Toronto. So the seller was good enough to take me for a ride to show a driving video, but we couldn't get going too fast because we're in an area of all 30 zones, even though most people drive 65. But working our way around, these, I'll call them quarter windows on the rear sides, are pretty sharp looking. They do not operate up and down, however. But you can see the matching set of OEM wheels all the way around. And then conventional antenna, no power in that antenna. It stays fixed and in place, so it's pretty sturdy. Mirrors on both sides with black caps. And we're back around to the front to see that that front end that is a nice tribute to the 69 Mustangs, and a pretty neat Mustang logo, Mustang emblem logo in the center of that grille. So yeah, no fog lights underneath, of course, because the fog lights are up here in the grille. But a pretty clean front clip as well. Now I think we've gotten a good look at that interior. Let's have a look at, or the exterior rather. Let's take a good look at the interior. Before I go though, I felt a little remiss in not letting you hear the pipes on this video as well. So I'm going to start it back up again, and we'll go to the rear, listen to those dual exhausts while the car is idling. So that's a good little listen to them. As I say, you can hear the engine and exhaust under load with our driving videos. So one defect or fault to this car I noticed right away. This fabric from on the door card here has come unglued. I think it's just a matter of sitting in the hot summer heat we've had this summer. On this side, the owners stapled them back on. I think I'd be inclined to take those staples out and re-glue them with a good adhesive product. On the other side, I think it's more recent because nothing's been done to them. However, the piece is still here, a little re-gluing job, and it would be back to, I won't say original, but a lot more presentable than it is. Look at that, when I push it down, it does adhere a little bit, but it definitely needs the help of some glue. Don't need the engine running, so I'll shut that down. So here we are in the cockpit. A neat, I'd say that's a tribute steering wheel to the first generation Mustangs as well, with the 3 spokes and the big Mustang emblem in the center. And it's not quite as big in diameter as the, say, 65 Mustang, but probably larger in diameter than it needs, given that we have power steering. Of course, the older steering wheels are mostly large in diameter to ease with the muscle effort you need with a non-power steering setup. So we got your typical light setup. For the fogs, actually pull this towards you to operate those fogs, so no separate switch. That's just to control the lighting on the dash. 4 big vents up here on the dash. And despite this being a Thrifty Thursday offering, I tested the AC before we started, and it blows nice and cold, so no trouble there. Maybe I'll turn on the accessory lights. We get a better look at the instrumentation. So on the left, an 8,000 RPM tachometer with a 6,000 RPM red line. And to the right, a speedometer, which maxes out at 240 kilometers an hour. Kilometers an hour, the dominant measure, Canadian market car. In the center, we've got a fuel gauge, water temperature gauge, and a voltmeter and oil pressure. Turn out that accessory light. And so center stack, there is a 12 volt outlet. I didn't see the cover for that, but it doesn't look that bad without, but it probably is missing a cover. Shaker sound in this car. You can see here CD6, so this is a 6-disc changer here, right here in the dash. And maybe I'll turn the accessories on. You can see the green display of the radio. So there's the time, and there's the display when you've got a station selected. And down below, HVAC controls. As I say, the air conditioning blows cold. Rear defrost down there on the bottom right as well. I'm not sure if I said this yet. 5-speed manual transmission in this car. So as they call it, a hand shaker for the transmission. You can see the emergency brake is set. Maybe I'll put it back in the gear. I had it set and in neutral for when I had the car idling. A couple of cup holders and a nice center console here with storage. I'm not going to open it right up because there's some personal effects in there. I'll say the same for the glove box. There are some personal items in there, so I won't open it up. Like you see on the driver's door, there's a big speaker here on the passenger door. Power locks and power windows. Here they are for the driver's side. So as well as a speaker down below, speaker up here as well. Of course, this is more a GT car. Maybe we'll call it a 2+2. So the back seat passengers, I won't call them an afterthought, but they're not the top priority. But even so, I've got that seat back as far as it'll go. Conveniently, the release for the seat is up here. You don't have to bend over to get at it. So the two seats in the rear, they're not fit for a king on a long road trip, but there's some space back there. Certainly enough for smaller statured people, and around town for adults it'd be okay. 2 belts only, so only a 4-passenger car. And we see here the controls for the power seat for the driver's side. Power on the driver's side only in this car, though. The passenger seat is manually operated. And we won't hide this. Maybe I guess we see the makings of some surface rust here on the seat controls, but that's from probably salt that people have tracked in on their shoes or boots. Car needs a good clean. There's no two ways about it. But just like I said about the engine compartment, a couple hours and some elbow grease and it'd clean up pretty nice, I think. You can see there 3 pedals signifying a manual transmission car. Didn't show the tilt wheel, but you can see the control for it down there. Power mirror control here as well. So that's a good look at the interior. I'll say the same for the trunk. There's lots of space in there, as well as a spare tire down below the floor of it, but there are personal items in there, so we're not going to take a look inside the trunk. Those interested though, please just have a look at our detailed listing where we've got several photos of the trunk when it's empty, as well as the spare tire down below. So I'll take another little walk around it, and then we'll move to some concluding thoughts on this CR podcast. Lot 214 again, 214 on CollectorCarCanada.CA. So there's a good look at it. So yeah, there's a good look at our 2005 Ford Mustang GT. Again, the first year of what I'll call the modern retro look, when Ford went from the SN95 body style that ended in 2004 to the S197 body style pictured here, beginning like this car in 2005. Again, the power plant's a 4.6 liter V8, good for 305 horsepower, so quite a significant increase from the GTs in the SN95 generation. This car comes with a 5-speed transmission, manual transmission, that gets the power to the rear wheels only. So traditional layout for a domestic sports car, front engine, rear drive. This one's going to be CollectorCarCanada.CA lot 214. One thing I didn't mention is just a reminder that we also have the Collector Car Stories podcast, where we tell a story a week. We speak to a new enthusiast every week, talking about them, their cars, their car adventures, or a certain road trip or story they might have with their car. And if you think you might have a good story or car to show, please take a look at the website. You'll see a contact us page where you can tell us what you'd like to share in terms of a story, or just email us at admin@CollectorCarCanada.CA. So that's it for this 2005 Ford Mustang GT 5-speed manual, Collector Car Canada lot 214. CollectorCarCanada.CA lot 214 for the 2005 Ford Mustang GT with under 114,000 kilometers, 4.6 liter V8 engine, and 5-speed manual transmission, getting the power to the rear wheels. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next time. Bye for now. Okay, so welcome to another great car here on the Car Reviews Podcast on a sunny day in Niagara on the lake. Today we have a big Benz. It's a 1994 Mercedes-Benz S500 Coupe. Followers of the website for 16 plus months might recognize it. We sold this car in the summer of 2023, and often sellers tell us the reason they're selling the car is because they no longer drive it. Of course, we're not usually selling daily driver cars, so that kind of thing happens. So here we are in this 94 S500, formerly lot 117 on CollectorCarCanada.CA. It's now lot 232 on CollectorCarCanada.CA. We took a look at the former listing, and we noted in CCC Vital Info, where we put some critical data down in point form, that we listed it at 220,000 kilometers last year. It might surprise you to know that we usually round up on the odometer readings in that box. I think it's got to do with me being the decision maker on it, and I approach this more from a customer point of view than a car seller. I've been a customer for more of my life than I have been a car seller. So all that to say, this seller is another one of those people who told us he doesn't use his car much, and in this case, we're going to be able to believe him. I looked at the photos from last year's lot 117, and I saw that the odometer at the time was between 219,300, 219,400. I don't know precisely, but you can look it up. I just don't remember from when I looked it up earlier. The odometer currently sits at 220,242. So we'll list it at 221,000 on CCC Vital Info. But I can tell you that the car has rolled less than 1,000 kilometers from when we photographed it last year in, it was June or July. Again, lot 117 if you want to look it up. And our new lot number is lot 232. But we're going to do our normal thing with the car review video. Please remember to share this video if you think there's someone who might be interested in the car. Throw us a like. It helps the YouTube algorithms get the car videos to the people who are interested in them. And also, please click on the subscribe button. It'll help get the videos to you just as soon as they're released. So be the first on your block to see our car review videos. In any event, let's move on, and I'll get the car started. We'll listen to the engine, the exhaust, and we'll take a little tour. Here we go. So nice easy start. Rolling here. What I'll do now is take a listen to the engine and exhaust, and then we'll move on with the rest of the tour. So I'll pump the hood. There it is. Now I'll come grab the camera for a handheld camera portion of the video. Followers of the site will also be familiar with us having sold some R107 body styles of Mercedes-Benz. So that's the 72 to 89 SL class. And those ones, the hood release, the second release is a lot like this one. You reach inside the the emblem here in the grille for a release. I'll mention that this is a W140 body style. The second release is in there, and that's how we get the hood up. So look like a pro when you're opening Mercedes hoods by knowing that for the R107 W140. There are probably some other classes too. So this one is suffering for a little dust here, but there's a very prominent three-pointed star and big block letters stating what make of car we're working with here. So this is from the era where Mercedes told you the engine displacement by the first two digits in the numerical portion of the model. So this is an S500 to denote a 5.0 liter engine, 5 liter V8 in this Mercedes S500. So let's move in on that fan and belts. We'll hear it. So a nice smooth idle. Show you some more of the labeling here. There's the option codes. There'll be code that in the listing. And another sound from the other side. So this car, as Mercedes people will have noticed already, it's equipped with big AMG monoblock wheels. We'll get in closer to those for the exterior tour portion of the video. For now, let's get a listen to this these twin exhaust pipes here on the left side, driver's side. Alright, so I think we're done with the engine running. I'm gonna cut the engine. And then we can close that hood as well. You can see there's no prop rod held up by the supports there in the corners at the A-pillar. Well held up. That needed a push to get closed. So again, we've got a 1994 Mercedes-Benz S500 Coupe. It's equipped with the 5 liter V8 engine, and it's got a 4-speed automatic, getting the power to the rear wheels only. Finished in black with some gray cladding towards the bottom, and the interior is gray leather. You'll see that we've got the sliding sunroof open. It's got both a tilt function and a slider. So we'll cruise in and have a good look at these AMG wheels. This one's not a perfect wheel. I'll also tell you that the car is equipped with 2 pairs of tires. So Michelin's up front here. We'll get a good look at them. And in a minute, we'll have a look at the Goodyears in the rear. So Michelin Latitude here in the front. And they measured 235, 55, R18. Date code on these, 2018. And I'd say the tread is pretty good for this touring Latitude tire. It's T-rated for speed, but there's a good look at the outside of the wheel. So there's a little bit of decay on the outside of that wheel, but not too bad for a refinish. AMG wheel. And then good look at the black paint. The owner gave this a very quick wash before we got here. It's not perfectly clean, but black paint, of course, doesn't let you get away with anything. So here's a look at the rear AMG wheel. We've got a staggered setup with these tires. This Goodyear Eagle RSA is size 245, 55, 18, and it's got a V speed rating. And I see a date code of 2020 for the rear tires. And I can feel a pretty good tread on there still too. So no problem with dating. But they have rolled a bit, and we'll get a look at that rim. So from a distance, these wheels, there's no big jagged cuts out of them. But up close, you do see some imperfections. Though from here, it's pretty hard to see it. But this gives a great rear 3/4 view of the big coupe. Pillarless, looks really great with the windows open. You see right through the car, as you see here. So again, this is lot 232 on CollectorCarCanada.CA. And you can see that arm I was mentioning for the seat belt, it's tucked away right now. It just comes out when the car gets started. And of course it stays in place for seatbelt comfort while the car is underway and the passengers are wearing the seatbelts. So this one is a 5-liter V8, as I mentioned. The same body style was offered as an S500 with a V12 engine. And the giveaway on those is there's a badge right here that says V12. So that's how you'd know you've got an S600, in addition to the badge being different here by 1 digit. I think my favorite thing about these cars are shown right here. We tried to shoot a video of this earlier. I'm on my own today. I'm not sure if I was able to pull off a solo video or not. But these are antennae that are not related to the radio. There's one on each side, and they pop up about 6 inches when the car's reverse gear is engaged. So our Mercedes is addressing with those the fact that it's really hard to see out the back of the car when you're parking it or reversing. So you get a sense of where the end of your car is with those antennae. I think I kind of like the old school nature of it. They're addressing it without having to put a camera on the rear. So there's a good look at the rear of the car on this beautiful sunny day here in Niagara. The car is equipped with a tire hitch. I certainly know that the current owner has not used it for any towing. But with the 5-liter V8, the car's got lots of power and torque. Check our detailed listing, please, for the exact figures. Here's another period piece that I really like on these old Benzes. You might have heard me say this before about others we've had, but this taillight with the ridged finish is designed like that, not for style, although I find it really stylish. But the reason it's styled like that is for any road debris or snow that gets caught in the lens. You're going to be able to see the function of the lens on the inside of these ridges. The outside will probably take all of the dirt or snow. I am noticing a ding here. I'll pull out a coin to give you a sense of the size of it. I'm not sure if the camera's picking it up or not because it is pretty small. So if you can see it, there's the coin beside it. So pretty small, but there is a ding there behind the driver's side tail light. Power antenna, we did test that earlier, and I can attest to its functionality. And then moving around the trunk here, it just releases like that, and then I'll do that again because it's quite fancy. So this is unlocked right now. So you press this button. It's going to go on the camera. I can get them both on the camera. So when I press that button, we get a handle to pull the trunk lid up. We remember this from last year. Someone spilled some bleach in the back of this car, but I do know it's been there over a year, so it's not spreading anymore, but it does show some discoloration in the gray. Just the matte. Oh, and maybe a tiny bit here on the carpet that's installed right under the car. But so long as I'm here, let's take a look at the trunk. You do see these towing wires to connect lights for your trailer if you're ever going to use this for towing. The former owner of this car, we remember him well. He also had an S600, so the V12 version of the car. And when he was moving and it was time to have to give up one of them, he decided to keep the V12. And there's a spare down there. It's a Michelin Energy tire with the spare kit. I see a tire right there, a jack. That's a good sense though with the trunk. Pretty massive trunk for a 2-door car. Pretty good sized trunk, but S-Class is kind of the flagship for Mercedes. So even though it's a 2-door, it's a good sized car, full size Mercedes. Here's the antenna on the passenger side for reversing. Now I'm shooting into the sun. I don't know what the light's going to look like, but there's a good look from the our passenger's 3/4. I do see a bit of a blemish here in the corner of the bumper cover. So it looks okay. So let's take a look the AMG wheel and the passenger side rear. This one's the best of the three we've looked at so far. Not perfect, a little bit of scuffing here, but very presentable. And again, matching the other rear tire, a Goodyear Eagle RSA, date coded 2020 with the V rating. And so long as we're here, there's the fuel door, nice and clean. I won't say clean in terms of cleanliness, but clean in terms of corrosion. No corrosion in there, and some tire data on the inner door. So here's a good look at the black finish on the shaded side of the car right now. It's a little difficult when we're shooting into the sun, but there's a good look at the black over the gray cladding. And then the front AMG wheel on the passenger side. Again, some scuffing up here on the edge of the rim. But there's that AMG logo. And again, matching the other front tire. It's a Michelin Latitude tire, date coded 2018, and I think it was age speed rated. If I contradicted myself, please refer to what I said about the driver's side front tire, because there I could read it. Here it's covered by the grass. But there's a good look at the car from the passenger 1/4 end. And moving around, some fog lights in the front, big Mercedes emblem in the grille, and then another right there on the hood above it. So that's a good look at the exterior of the car with the headlight wipers, trademark Mercedes in the 90s. So we'll jump in the car and have a look at the interior. So this car needs a good detail. There's no two ways about that. That benefit from shampoo. But underneath, it isn't too bad at all. Maybe that mat would benefit from a replacement. And there's a good look at the seat. Again, it could use a good clean with some good leather cleaner. But I don't see any real imperfection of it. Maybe a little bit of cracking from over the years. And the power seats are over on this side, on the door, as is consistent with a lot of 90s Mercedes product. You see the same over on the passenger side. Memory seats for both driver and passenger. And then I'll climb in and we can get a good look at the wood appointments. 2 speakers right there on the door. 3 speakers on the door, look at that. But yeah, the real wood appointments on the dash and the steering wheel really do indicate you're dealing with a first-class car of the 90s here. This was top of the line. Well, S-Class is the flagship for Mercedes. So this is the best they had in 1994. Here's a good look at that odometer. 220,242. Again, this owner bought the car maybe a bit on a whim and hasn't driven it since buying it at 219,300. But instrumentation pretty complete. Got a tack over there on the left, up to 7,000. The speedo goes to 260, and I would not put it by this car that would do that speed at the track. Over on the left, we've got an instant fuel economy gauge, as well as coolant temperature and oil pressure measured in bar, the German standard. Farther left, a fuel gauge, and then over here to the right, we've got a functional clock. And then in the center, we've got the HVAC system, automatic climate control. I can report that the air conditioner is functional. We tested that earlier. And this stock Mercedes-Benz AM/FM cassette with an ashtray here. I can report that the lighter inside is functional. We used it to charge a phone earlier. Power windows in the center, power mirrors up on the left, and then that's the sunroof function as well. And this phone holder, there's a screw in there, so you need a screwdriver to take that out if that's what you want to do. And then indicator for an airbag over here on the passenger side. A lot cleaner floor mat here on the passenger side too. So that gives you a good look. And I'd say also that the passenger side seat is cleaner than the driver's side. The key for the car is not glamorous. We won't try to hide that. I'm just trying to fiddle with it here to show it off. But there's a look at it. So assume that the button or remote functionality is not functional. It's just held together with that tape. So if you wanted to go whole hog, you'd need to order a new key, which you can do at a dealer. If you want to pay premium price, you could probably find one on eBay and get it programmed and cut to fit this car. And we'll get a look at the rear seat with the rear window coming down. It's pretty easy to do from outside of the car here. Quite clean. So 4 buckets in this car. Just a 2-place rear seating area with plenty more wood inside there as well, and window controls and headrest controls in the center as well, with some storage in that grooved area behind it. So I'll take one last walk around of the car, and then we'll move to some closing thoughts. I just noticed a ding in the hood that I'll show you with my famous coin as well. Still zooming in on the ding on the hood. Here it is. So there's a good look at the 1994 Mercedes-Benz S500 Coupe with a 5-liter V8. The 4-speed automatic gets the power to the rear wheels. The wheels themselves are AMG monoblocks, 18-inch. And this car is going to be lot 232 on CollectorCarCanada.CA. Check out all the details there. It's sitting at 221,000 kilometers and ready for a new owner. So again, lot 232, CollectorCarCanada.CA, 1994 Mercedes-Benz S500 Coupe with the big 5-liter V8. Thanks for watching, and on to the next car. Hi everyone, and welcome to another great car here on the CollectorCarCanada.CA Car Reviews Podcast. Before we get to it, remember we also have the Collector Car Stories Podcast, where we talk to a fellow enthusiast about a car he or she has, maybe a collection, a road trip, anything car related that's worth telling a story about. And we post those up every week or two on this same YouTube channel. You can also find them on the website under CCS Podcast menu item. And if you think you might have a story or a car that others would like to hear about, please hit us up, CollectorCarCanada.CA. Every page there has a link to a contact us page, so you can do it that way, or just send us an email, admin@CollectorCarCanada.CA. And another little reminder, please remember to help us spread the word about these videos we're doing, in case you have anyone who might be interested in the cars or the Collector Car Stories podcast. Please hit like if you like them. That helps deliver it to other people who'd be interested. If you press subscribe, you'll be among the first to see these videos when they're first posted. And of course, you can share it around with your friends. There's a button right here on the YouTube display to share it with your friends. So back to the car at hand. We've got a 1992 Mercedes-Benz 300 TE. Now, if the T part is a little counterintuitive to you, if you look behind me, you can tell that I'm sitting in a station wagon. Very popular cars, body styles in 1992. We don't see them as much today. So Mercedes calls them touring body style. So that's the T. So it's an E-Class with the touring. So 300, which is a 3-liter inline-6 engine. We'll get to that in a moment. T for touring and E for the E-Class, which of course still runs today. A benchmark for Mercedes-Benz. So 1992 300 TE. It's got just under 206,000 kilometers on it. It's a US car. We'll get to the odometer when we tour you around the interior. For now, I'm going to start it up. We'll pop the hood, listen to the engine and the exhaust, and take a little tour of the car from there. So here we go with the startup. No trouble at all with that start. So I'll pop the hood now, and I'll come around and grab the camera for a handheld camera portion of the video. And we'll take a look at the engine. So here's a good look at the 3-liter inline 6. I'll zoom in so that we can have a listen to that engine and see the belts running. Fans working away behind that rod as well. Now, I haven't mentioned this yet, but we're selling this one no reserve. So it does have a few flaws. I'm going to try to point them all out. I'm no mechanic, but I can see a little bit of oil seepage here on the valve cover and up here on the air filter. But otherwise, that engine's looking pretty healthy. Battery looks pretty strong and new as well. We'll try and get the date code on that for you. As you see when we get the inside, the car is equipped with airbags. Here's the option codes for the car. We'll decode that on the detailed listing. It's going to be lot 231 on CollectorCarCanada.CA. There's just a routing diagram. So we'll pop that hood down, and you'll see the setting I chose for the video. The owner of the car's got a beautiful property here in Niagara, and I think this looks like it used to be a garage maybe, and the walls are still up. So let's take a little walk around. One thing the owner he said he's guilty of is that the car might be suffering from a little underuse, and we see some evidence of that. The car is kind of dusty. We didn't have a chance to clean it before having to shoot the video, and we're going to show you a few dings here and there, but keep in mind that we're offering this one at no reserve. So the first flaw I'll show you right below that indicator. There's the only patch of corrosion I've found so far. Just fumbling in my pocket to find a coin so that I can film it with the coin and you get some perspective of it. So there's a look at the corrosion. A fabulous thing about this car is that the owners upgraded it to be wearing AMG monoblock wheels. So those are certainly well known in the period for Mercedes. But yeah, we've got a black on black car here today. I don't have lots of space to the side of the car for perspective, just because of the setting I chose. You can see that's the bottom of that stone wall on the passenger side of the car. But as I say, we've got a black exterior on a black interior with the gray cladding towards the bottom of the car, towards the rockers. So I just spotted a couple of dings here I wanted to show you. There's one there, and then a scratch with a ding here, just 4 of the tail lights. But there's a good look at those monoblock wheels. They're skinned in 2 pairs of tires. Up front, there's a set of hand-cooked Ventus V12s. Hand-cooked Ventus V12. And I'll read off the size: 225, 45, 17. You can see they've got a wide speed rating, so that's right to the extreme. I think we've gotten a good listen of the engine at idle, so I'm going to cut the engine. I'm going to reach in because the buzzer on this car is a bit piercing. So there, we got it no longer running, and I walked by the sunroof. You can see the pop top operation is working. However, the slider function is not. The slider function is not working on this car. A couple of other flaws I know about, pointed out to me by the owner, who's been really forthcoming, and as I say, he's willing to accept the no reserve auction. He mentions that an O-ring in the transmission needs replacing, and if it's not, and the car sits for long periods of time, you might have some seepage or leaking of the fluid. And the other item is, you can see we've got the front window open, but not the rear. So the driver's side rear window, I can hear the motor working, but there's a bit of a crunch, and the window only opens an inch or two, so that needs servicing as well. Probably just needs to be recalibrated to get back on track. But so we looked at that front tire. In the rear, there's a set of Continentals, same size, 225 45 R17, H rating in the rear, but square setup. So same size tires all around. I think I see a date code of 2013 for the Contis in the rear. Let's see if we can find a date code for the Hancooks up front. Here we go, 2011. So these tires are a little dated, admittedly. The car's been stored indoors, and that's why it's so dusty on the property here. The owner has a barn where he keeps some of his cars. So here's where the car looks like it's most distinct from the sedan version. And we see that TE badge, T for touring, as I say. The 300, this is back from the old days when Mercedes and its rival BMW would tell you what the displacement of the engine was in the model name. So this 300 denotes a 3-liter engine, and as we saw, it's an inline 6. I see a piece of corrosion I didn't see earlier. Yeah, I think we got a little bit of corrosion here as well. So we missed that with the photos, but we'll have to snap that when we're done the video, because we want to bring all the faults to your attention. The other one we noticed when we were doing photos is there's some paint suffering here, some chips in the paint, just along where you grab the lift gate to lift it, and that's also where the license plate light would be. I also noticed that we didn't have any trouble with the sound of the muffler, but that tailpipe, just from the tailpipe outward, it's suffering from some corrosion too. So, and a rear wiper in place. We did test this power antenna. I can confirm that it works. And the other nice thing with the wagon is you get a roof rack here with some usable roof rails for tie down straps and rope if you have extra cargo. We'll get a look at the inside of the hatch when we look at the interior. Lots of space in there too. So here's a look at the right rear monoblock, skin in the Continental, Conti Pro Contact, a matching tire to the rear on the other side, 225 45 17, Y rated. And just on the door here, I see a couple more dings I want to show you. So these just look like door dings to me, but they're there. No paint breakage here. Maybe a paintless dent removal PDR guy could get those for you. And then there's a scratch here on the cladding, but that's not metal, so that could likely be sanded out with a really high grit sandpaper, but don't take my word for it. Either you're an expert or you speak to one before you do it. And then here's the front right monoblock. The wheels are pretty clean, 17 inches as I say, and this is another one of the Hankook Ventus. I think I might have said Y rated for the rear tires. It's the front tires that are Y rated and the rear tires are rated H. I noticed there's Mercedes logos on all panes of glass. They're photographed in our detailed listing, and there's the Mercedes decal here on the windshield. One wiper for the W124 E-classes. So there's a good look at the front end of the car. Another thing that I'm not really sure what to make of this, because I can see some paints chipped off that bumper. I'm not sure if that was originally delivered as a rubber unpainted bumper and someone painted it and the paint's come off, or maybe it was painted at the factory and it's come off. So the paint is imperfect, no doubt about it, but the nice thing about it is the rubber underneath is a pretty close match to the car. If this were a red car, it would look awful, but with the black car, you can almost get away with it. So there's a good look at the exterior of the car. We haven't tested those headlight wipers, but man, they look cool. So that's a good look. And of course, we've got the 3-pointed star from the old days that pops up from the hood, from the grille, I suppose, and then another emblem below it. But there's a good look at the car. So let's take a little tour inside now. So the first thing I'll show you, I was mentioning about the odometer. I'm gonna remove that key because that buzzer's a bit piercing, as I say. So here's a decal from a dealer to indicate the odometer was serviced in 1995. So that was at 26,911 miles, which is a neat coincidence because the seller of this car has a few Porsches, and 911 of course being a prominent number in Porsche. So 26,911 miles, I'm thinking that's about 43,000 kilometers, 24 to 40, maybe more like 45,000 kilometers, which makes sense because the owner told us that the car has about 206,000 kilometers. So if this odometer was new at the 26,911 mark, that 206,000 K estimate is pretty close. We'll get a little more granular on that in the detailed listing to be sure. But it is nice to see that the odometer work was done on the up and up by a dealer. So here are the power seat controls on both front doors. As I mentioned, that odometer service sticker refers to miles, and this is a US market car. We see here the importation decal when this car was registered with CarReviewsPodcast. RIV stands for the Register of Imported Vehicles. We'll put a little more information about that on the detailed listing in terms of timing and dates. And this is just an oil change sticker. There's another one here actually. I haven't read those yet, but we'll get detailed about that on the detailed listing as well. So we just see a speaker here on the door. As I say, those power seat controls, seat memory, just on the driver's seat. There's power seat on the passenger seat, but without the memory. Light controls are here. Neat 4-spoke steering wheel, pretty cool of the period, with an airbag, passenger side airbag as well. And we've got the familiar Mercedes central mounted speedometer, axing out at 240. I think I've said enough about the odometer. We've got a tach over here to the right with a time of day clock built in. And I'm happy to report it's now 2:05, so that clock is working. And we've got a multi-gauge cluster over here on the left. Fuel, temperature, and oil pressure measured in the German standard bar. Going over to the center, we did test the AC. It's blowing cold, as you might have gathered. You probably saw me in my short sleeve shirt. It's a pretty beautiful day here, so it was easy to test the AC. And we've got the original Mercedes-Benz AM/FM cassette player. So that's got an LCD display, automatic transmission, so 4-speed transmission. And there are the power windows. Again, we're having trouble with the driver's side rear door window. Power mirror here as well. And we've got pictures of this little storage compartment open. No glove box in this early passenger airbag car. I figure that's why there's no glove box in the car. There's a look at the power seat control for the passenger. And dome lights working. And the visors are equipped with not just mirrors, but mirrors that light up. I'll show you them lighting up, I think. Yeah, there we go. And lights on. There we go. So let's take a look at that rear seat. Here's the owner's manual attaché. We did a good job of photographing that in the detailed listing as well. Here's a look at the rear seat. It folds down. We've got photos of it in the detailed listing of it folded down. The bench, the seat bottom folds forward with this as the pivot, and then the seat backs fold forward from there. The headrests need to be removed for it to sit all the way down. Again, you can see photos of that in our detailed listing. Power window here for the passenger in the rear. This is a speaker built into this armrest. And then I think this is an ashtray. Yeah, another ashtray for the rear. And there's one on the other door as well. So that's a good look at this. This interior might look like leather. I am 90% sure that's MB Tex, which Mercedes still puts in a lot of its cars. I think a lot of Mercedes owners believe they have leather interior, but in fact it's MB Tex. So we'll take a look at the rear area. So we've got the seat pulled down right now. So this is an 8-passenger wagon. I'm not sure if I'll be able to do this with one hand or not, but there are seat backs for the rear passenger, the third row of seating. Oh, I can, look at that. And there's a good look at the bench for two in the very rear of the car. In German tradition, there's also a first aid kit back here, you can see. And on this side, it's where you see the spare tire. So I think that's a pretty good look at the interior of this car. There's no button to get the liftgate down, but a nice strap. I think that's even an MB test. So there's a good look at the car. I'll walk around it one more time, maybe outside of these leftover walls, remnants of the old garage maybe, and then we'll move to some closing thoughts. So black interior, black exterior, the gray finish down the side of the car, and the sunroof is a panel, a metal panel, so no glass on the sunroof. And I'll also mention the tinted windows, which with the monoblocks, combined with the monoblocks, give it a pretty aggressive look. So there we go. This is our 1992 Mercedes-Benz 300 TE. On to some closing thoughts. So there's a good look at our 1992 Mercedes-Benz 300 TE. Right around 206,000 kilometers. Let us check on that, check the detailed listing, and we'll write something up about that, given that the odometer had been serviced previously. Again, it's being offered at no reserve, and it's lot 231 on CollectorCarCanada.CA. Check out the listing, and please share this video around with your friends if you think there might be someone who's interested in it. Lot 231, CollectorCarCanada.CA, 1992 Mercedes-Benz 300 TE, black on black, 3-liter inline 6 with automatic. On to the next car. Thank you for watching.